INFJ personality types and autistic INFJs, do you ever feel like no matter what you do, it's never enough to feel truly loved by yourself and loved by other people? This is a really heavy feeling, and it is especially for INFJs. In the INFJ community, it is so common, probably more common than you even think, than you even know, that this goes on. This is what I'm talking about today, is feeling loved, and how the key to that is healing the love that we have for ourselves. I'm going to discuss why it's important, how it impacts our lives, and how it impacts how other people treat us when we have low self-love and we don't value ourselves. And then I'm going to share some tips on how to get going on that self-love, how to start building it, because I tell you, I hated who I was so bad I couldn't even look in the mirror. And when I discovered how important this was, it was a huge pillar to getting that life that I desired, to being taken seriously, to not being used. I didn't even know where to start to fixing this. That's what I used to call it. How do I fix this? How do I start even loving this? So I'm going to share 3 of my favorite tips for that. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm glad that you found it. My name's Trina. I'm an INFJ and I'm also autistic. I created this channel with hopes of helping people like myself feel seen, heard, and understood and less alone. That would have made a huge difference for me years ago. And I also wanted a place where I could share resources that have helped me. I know being an INFJ, it can feel like there are very limited resources out there for us that actually work. So I got tired of searching for it and I decided I'm just going to create one. So I share resources and I hope you enjoy them. I'm glad you found my channel. If you're returning, I'm glad you came back. I'm grateful for all my viewers. I invite you to subscribe to my channel and like this video if you haven't already. I would appreciate the support. Before we get going, I do want to remind you I have registration open for November's INFJ Connection Circle. If you have been searching and searching and searching for other INFJs to connect with, this might be something that you're interested in. It's a virtual connection circle where we meet once a week and talk about INFJ life. Everything INFJ and autistic INFJ. We can relate, we have laughs, we can share resources. We have a lot of fun and I really enjoy it because I know how important it is to connect with like-minded people where you're not feeling perceived, you're not feeling criticized, you're not feeling scared to just be who you are. So anyway, if you want more information on that, I put the link in the description of this video. Okay, let's get into this. Low self-love. I haven't talked about self-love for a long time. I was talking about it a lot. It's very important. Very important. It is a huge pillar for an INFJ. So many of us struggle with low self-love. And it is a huge pillar to get that life that we desire, to find meaning, to find purpose. It's just, it impacts so much of our life when we have low self-love. When we do not value ourselves at all, it reflects in our behavior, our energy, and how we carry ourselves. This is why it impacts so much of our lives, right? So our behavior, this comes from our negative self-talk. When we do not love ourselves, when we have low self-love, we usually have a nasty inner voice. I've done videos on this, and it is so crucial to get a grasp on that inner voice. The reason being, and I never believed this until I started studying into it, I actually did a challenge where I had to keep track of what I said to myself because it impacts how we show up in the world, right? And I really didn't think that I was that bad, that nasty to myself. Wow. After the first day, I wasn't even going to do the challenge. I thought it was stupid. And then I thought, you know what? I signed up for this. I might as well do this part of it as well. After the first day, I was blown away. I was sad. It almost made me cry with how nasty I was to myself. I mean, I wouldn't even, the things I was saying to myself, I wouldn't have even said to my worst enemy. And I was saying it to myself. The thing to remember about our inner voice is it becomes our own personal prophecy. It will stop us from showing up like we should be, or maybe we won't even show up at all anymore. It will stop us from taking those risks. When we're telling ourselves we are stupid and we can't do this and we're not good enough and it goes on and on and on, we often will get that attitude that what's the point? It's not going to work for us. We're not good enough anyway. And we will get that attitude. So we will carry ourselves totally different. We'll stay stuck because we're not taking those risks. Maybe it's something that we've wanted to try, a creative outlet, or maybe it's a career that we wanted to chase after or a promotion. And we get that thought, oh, I'm not going to get it anyway. It doesn't happen for people like me. Maybe you've even been told that. Oh, it's people like you can't do that. I've been told that a number of times. Anyway, that feeds that inner voice. And when we say that, we're probably not even going to go and attempt to try and get that promotion or, tackle a creative outlet. Maybe we enjoy music and we want to learn a new instrument or whatever it may be. We're not even going to try it because our inner voice has now stopped us. It also impacts, like I said, our energy and the way we carry ourselves. So this sends out signals to people around us. They probably, a lot of the time, they don't even realize they're picking up on these signals. It's done at a subconscious level, right? So we're sending out the signal that our feelings, our needs, our boundaries, us in general, we're not important. And that's how they're going to treat us. They're going to treat us how we're sending out those signals that we're not important. So we're going to feel taken for granted, taken advantage of, disrespected, unloved, used. I'm trying to think of some other terms, wording that people use to describe this. Not taken seriously. That was a huge one for me. And this is because we don't demand better treatment. How we treat and view ourselves is what we put out to the world, and that's what comes back at us. It becomes a very vicious cycle where our lack of self-love leads to poor treatment, which leads to feeling worse about ourselves, which leads to even hating ourselves even more. And we need to break this cycle. And in order to break the cycle, it starts with learning to value ourselves first. And that can be difficult, very difficult for us. I'm not saying it's not possible. It is truly possible if we do the work. But if we haven't done the work, learning to value ourselves and love ourselves can be very difficult. But we need to do that so that we can set new standards for how others will interact with us and how we show up for ourselves, so that we can show up fully for ourselves and we can get unstuck and we can get out of that rut that we're feeling stuck in with these big walls or a deep muddy puddle, whatever it may be. I was stuck in it for years, a rut. I would not show up. I was too scared to show up for anything because I was scared of being criticized. I was scared of failing, and I really truly believed that I would fail because I didn't think that I was good enough for it. So I wouldn't even show up. I wouldn't even try. And then I would wonder why I was continually stuck and good things couldn't come to me like other people. Well, we need to take action. We need to do work in order for our life to take a direction that we want it to go. Otherwise, we will stay stuck. Something else I wanted to mention, what's interesting, talking about all of this and why INFJs tend to struggle with this, having that low value for ourselves and putting that out there for others to treat us the same way, is it actually comes back to when we were children. And if you watch my videos, you'll notice that I mention this quite a bit, that a lot of our struggles that we have in our adult life stems back from when we were children. What's really interesting is, and I've said this a few times, that most INFJs, not all of us, but a lot of us were raised by super critical parents, or maybe just one parent, or we had a narcissistic parent or parents. When we are in a family dynamic like this, we got the message that we didn't matter. Our needs, our boundaries, our wants, our desires, us in general, we didn't matter. We were any of that, it wasn't important. We were not a priority. And we also got a message that it was wrong to prioritize ourselves, so we did matter. When we have those kind of parents or caregivers, the narcissistic or the super critical ones, high critical parents, it's always about them. They're very selfish and everything has to be about them. And we learned at a very young age to keep everything about them so they didn't lash out at us. And by doing that, we sacrificed us. We sacrificed our needs, our desires, our wants, how we value ourselves. So it was a belief that we developed years ago that we did not matter. We couldn't matter because of the parents or the caregiver, whatever it may be, that we had. And this is what leads into that cycle of the low self-love that leads to poor treatment, that leads to us feeling worse as we get into our adult life once we're away from those parents and we can start valuing ourselves. The problem is lots of us, we don't know how. That was me. When I heard about this and learned about this and realized how important it was to have that self-love, and really I got tired of hating who I was. I really did. When I started doing the work on myself, I really got tired of hating who I was because I would do work on myself, the personal development, in different areas. The area I should have been focusing on was my self-love because I was working in other areas, but until I found love for myself, all that work that I was doing, it wasn't doing a whole lot for me because I didn't value who I was anyway. So I wasn't really I thought that I was putting the effort into it, but I wasn't putting the effort like I could have been when I truly got to a place where I valued who I was. So how do we do this? How do we break this cycle? I'm going to share with you just 3. I don't want this video to be too long, so I just picked out 3 of my favorite ones that I think are probably the most important to really get you going on start to build that foundation for your self-love. The first thing that we can do to build self-love, to value ourselves, is change our self-talk to more positive self-talk. Be mindful of it. This is huge. I'm not going to go over again why it's huge. It is huge. I did a whole video on this. If you'd like, I could send you the link to it. Let me know on how important this is, that self-talk. So be mindful. Don't judge yourself harshly when you realize, oh, I just said something bad to myself. Oh, stupid me. Here we go again. No, we don't want to do that. That's not good. That's feeding it. Just being mindful and noticing, oh, I said it again. That was nasty self-talk. I don't want to say that. So what do I want to say about myself? And then rephrase it. Come from a place of compassion. Remember this belief that our value didn't matter, that we just didn't matter, came long time ago. Takes time to change it. Takes time to change the self-talk. It isn't going to happen overnight. So just be mindful and rephrase it to something that you'd rather say. Something a little more positive. Don't go crazy and completely change it to something a lot more positive. You could if you want, but be mindful that your subconscious might be like, what's going on? That was just a lie. You don't feel this way about you. So it's good to baby step it. So if you find that you're saying, you know what, I'm too stupid to even apply for this job, just rephrase it to, you know what, I'm going to sit and I'm going to think about and entertain the idea that, you know, I might be able to get this job. Maybe I'm not going to apply for it, but I'm going to entertain this idea. Your subconscious is going to be, okay. Now, if you were to say, I'm a genius, I can do this, I've got all that experience, we got this, your subconscious might come up and be like, no, you're lying to yourself. We don't feel this way about ourselves. So just be aware of that this could happen with an INFJ. I'm not going to get into explaining why. It's a very interesting topic, though. I should do a video on that. Second thing we can do to start building self-love and valuing who we are so others around us will value us as well so we can feel loved is take a look at who is around you. This is huge. Who do you allow around you? I call them bubble poppers. Are they bubble poppers in our bubble? Are they people that are going to lift you up to keep your bubble nice and solid? Or are they going to poke holes in your energy bubble and make you feel bad about yourself? This was huge for me, you guys. Huge. I didn't realize how important it was to be very picky about who you allow around you in your bubble. Don't allow those bubble pokers. You know, just step back and observe for a while. Are the people around you, are they keeping you down? Are they feeding that self-hatred? If they are, it's okay to distance yourself from them. It's important, and find the people that will lift you up. Like, find community where it will lift you up. There's lots of communities over on Facebook. I have the connection circle, the INFJ connection circle, where we lift each other, support each other, no negativity. This is super important. It was huge for me. Be very mindful of who you allow around you. Number 3, and back to number 2, there's that statement or quote. I don't know if it's a quote or a statement. I'm going to say a quote. we are who we hang around with. So if you're hanging around with people that are keeping you down, who are constantly criticizing you, who are picking you apart, like I was, you're going to stay in that space of feeling bad about yourself and feeling unloved, and you're going to send out more of that energy for them to feed off to continue treating you badly. You're not going to get out of that cycle. Number 3, engage in a creative expression. This is huge. Also, I say this about all my points, right? This is huge. This was very exciting for me. I rolled my eyes at it, probably because I didn't think I was creative. I got that message a long time ago that I was not talented. I was boring and plain. So I didn't have any creative talent. So I thought, so I wouldn't do it. And when I heard that INFJs need a creative outlet to live fulfilling life for our well-being, I was kind of like, yeah, whatever. I'm not creative, but INFJs are some of the most creative people in this world. We do need that creative outlet. It's a way that we can connect deeply with ourselves, and it's amazing what we learn about ourselves. I'm going to tell you a quick story. I don't want to keep you too much longer, but I do want to tell you a quick story about this. So I started writing a fiction novel that I had been writing in my head for years. Like, I don't even know how long. It's been probably close to 30 years, 20 years, we'll say 25 years that I've been writing this fiction novel in my head. I finally decided a while back to actually start writing it. So I started typing it out on my computer. And what was so interesting about this, when I stepped back and looked at it, was my main character in this novel was essentially me. It was essentially me, and I wrote her in there with struggles that I have had, experiences that I have had, and how she evolved and she grew into who I wanted to grow into. It was really neat that I didn't know that I had longed for what she grew into, what my character grew into. And when I stepped back and looked at it, I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is what I want deeply. It is so cool. It really answered a whole bunch of questions on what it was that I wanted, because I really didn't know what I wanted to become or anything like that. So that was huge when I got writing, a huge thing I learned about myself. It's also a creative expression is a way to honor our true self, which will start feeding our self-love. And that is what we want. I hope this video was helpful for you. I invite you again to subscribe to my channel, like this video. Feel free to share it. The more times it's shared, the more INFJs we get to help, and that's what it's all about. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you again soon with another video. Bye for now.